I like what you said there too about, you kind of said something pretty quick, but I think it's important, where you wrote the book and you were like, okay, this is going to be published. This is it. But then you took the time to go over the marketing plan. And I think there's I do this with YouTube videos where like I finish the YouTube video and I want to put it out like that day. And it's like, hold on, like give yourself so I think that's a really important, like when you finish the book, your first thing is like, I want to get it out there. But it's like, no, take the time, write out the plan. What are you going to do? Set it all up, create the artwork. Like it's like you finish this process and now do this process before you just throw it out into the world. Yeah.
And I think, it's a good lesson for me because I'm an impatient person by nature. So I really had to train myself to be okay with holding back. It's constant challenge. Like, drafting my cover up with Jeff Brown this week, I looked at the draft and I was like, oh wow, I've got to tell this person. No. Just like teach yourself to just hold back. Everyone's going to see it eventually. And,
right.
And don't sacrifice potential explosion of interest that you can get from something just because you're really excited about it. So that's hard. That's really hard because you're investing time in the book. You're proud of what you're creating. And so you want to kind of share that effervescent energy that you've got around it. But at the same time, you've got to do it at the time that suits the audience more than when it suits you.
Yeah. Well, and there's nothing worse than, you can say this about anything, whether it's a creative project or a marketing plan or your job or whatever. There's nothing worse than like constantly having to rush everything. So it's like, if you finish it up and then you take the time to actually develop your marketing plan and build it all out, then you can enjoy the process of it unfolding, as opposed to, I got to keep ahead of it, as it's barreling down the track.
You don't want it to feel like that. You don't want it to feel like a boulder going down a mountain and you're running away. The second it gets to that level, I think it's too much. But you can compartmentalize. So another thing on writing that I've done, that I've been able to teach myself is juggling multiple things. And because I'm writing in one world, and I would recommend this for any new author, if you're planning a series, I think, just write your series. I know there's a lot of other people who would say, from a marketing point of view, write to sell. And so if that means, okay, there's a lot of cozy happening right now, let's put out a cozy book, then go back to the series, for the next one. I would recommend not doing that, both from an artistic merit point of view, but also from a point of view of pressure, because, at the moment I'm working on one series. I'm aware of the continuity. I'm aware of the lore. It's all there. It's all front of mind. I'm constantly thinking about it. I'm constantly writing notes on it. And so what that allowed me to do was, during the final edit and pre-publication process for Exile, I drafted the next novella. Like I was literally able to write that whole book while I was doing everything else. And it didn't really take away from Exile. It didn't hurt it at all. Because both those books need to work in tandem anyway. And so all I was doing was helping myself. And then, when Exile finally came out, the week that it came out, I finished that novella. And then, maybe stupidly, I sat down and wrote the next novella straight away because I was like,
right.
You know what? It's front of mind. Like, I've been revising Exile so much. I've read through it so many times. I've now written this novella. I've got all the continuity for 50 years of lore. Like, let's just get it, keep it moving. Don't sacrifice that. That is the good boulder. That's the boulder you want to roll down the hill, but you don't want to be putting out, things in multiple series and then not being able to do any of them justice, because every time you take a step back, you need to reset your mind for this story, which has a completely different configuration, completely different, subgenre, whatever it is. Right. So that's another thing to keep in mind.
I've done a lot of that with, cause my series I'm playing is fairly long. And one of the ways that if I get stuck with and that's part of the reason which I've struggled to get this first one right, is because I have a lot of things I want to make sure get in there, but one of the things that, like, if I get stuck or if I need to work out a character or something, is I've actually jumped to a different book in the series and just like wrote a scene
Yeah.
of like, okay, this needs. So it's kind of like so I have a scene or a bunch of scenes for all these other books that I'm probably not going to get to forever, but it's like I see it like what you just said, where like I'm adding to the whole thing, so it's still
It's a net positive.
you know, it's a net positive.
You're only helping yourself. And like when I drafted the new novella, that was fun.
Right.
You know, like for the most part, it was really fun and easy to write because the novella is an excuse for me to have a bit more fun with the world. Firstly, that's kind of what the novella's service to me as a writer and to the readers. And also, it's inherently tied with the book that was coming out at the time. And so, you know, it's a win-win. It's a win-win, you know. And what that means is now we're going to be not even 6 months down the road, and I'll have that out, you know. And it just keeps the content coming out, but without sacrificing or burning me out, you know. So
yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. Yeah.